So good morning, welcome back to another video. I'm just going to give you a few quick tips of how to improve your bench press. Now I've known mine has kind of been slacking recently, and before that I was kind of hitting mostly like a little plateau and I wasn't really getting the results that I wanted. So I'm going to give you a few quick tips of what I've learned recently that's kind of improved my bench quite quick. So we'll get to it right now. What works well is switching between flat bench press and on the way up, driving in towards the back of that wall. Probably the most important tip that I can give anybody that's trying to improve their bench press is cool. So you join me in the gym. Now the first little tip that I want to run through, I won't really show you a video behind this of me actually doing it. One that I found really kind of works well is switching between flat bench press and dumbbell press. Now the way I kind of use this is basically for the different range of motion. I feel like you get a better stretch if you're using dumbbells, but quite a lot of people base their overall strength on flat bench, so with a bar. So ideally what I'd try and get people to do, or like try out yourself, is do like a month or 6 weeks using dumbbells, and then do another 4 to 6 weeks of doing barbell press. And a further tip, so another one that's really good, is try and work on a plan of 5 by 5. Now by that I mean 5 reps for 5 sets. So what this does is it basically gets you onto a weight that you're comfortable at, but is also building strength. Like, you don't realistically want to be going for like 2 to 3 reps, that's not really enough. And I feel like anything above 6 or 7, you start going to the point of like endurance more than building strength. Now if you can hit 5 for 5, that really means you're exhausting your muscles as much as you possibly can for that 5. Now you want to try and get to a weight that you can complete the 5 for 5, even if you maybe say fully maxed out. The first 2 to 3 sets, you're going to not feel it as much as the last 2. The last 2 should hopefully be a proper killer for you, and to the point like you are physically struggling to get that weight up. So that's another little tip that I feel like you should try out if you've not already done so. And last but not least, probably the most important tip that I can give anybody that's trying to improve their bench press is you've got to use leg drive. Now for me recently, I've only just kind of worked out how to do this properly, and I feel like there's probably a few people out there that kind of know the idea but really don't kind of know how to execute it to kind of get the results. So what I try and do is basically lay all the way down, kind of bring your feet as far back as you can, or as close to you, to the body of the bench as you can, and then you want to like be driving into the back. So what you basically want to be doing is pushing yourself back off the bench. So with your feet, you want to be bringing them back in towards the bench as far as possible, to the point where you're literally about to raise your heel off the ground. From then you want to be pushing yourself across the bench. So you want to be aiming for that wall behind me or the wall behind you. So you want to be pushing yourself towards the opposite way of the bench. Now, another little tip with this as well is you want to be like resting on the backs of your shoulders. So you almost want to be like pinning your shoulders into the bench. So almost like try and envision yourself grabbing the sides of the bench in between your shoulders. So you don't want to be laying completely flat on the bar, out on the bench, sorry. You want to have some sort of arch. You want to be driving those shoulders into the back of the bench. So like I say, when you're pushing, you want to be driving yourself back towards the wall. You want those shoulders clamped up like this, just so you kind of grabbing that bench. It raises your chest as well, so the actual movement coming down is not as far as it would be if you were flat. So you might think to yourself, if I push myself back against that wall, how will I not fall off the bench? Well, the idea of the weight is that the weight is going to pin you down into the bench to stop you moving back off the bench. I'd suggest when you're warming up is get yourself in the position, but don't push back. I wouldn't start pushing back until you're probably around 40 to 50 kilograms. If you're obviously benching less than that, then maybe try doing it a little bit beforehand. But ideally, if you're saying kind of benching 80 to 90 kilograms, I would suggest start to use leg drive. around about 50 to 60 kilograms, just so you get a feel for it. Obviously before you go do your heavy sets, or if you're doing like a 1 rep max, then you're ready for it, you're ready in your body to do that. The weight's not going to start pinning you into the bench until it's probably around 40 to 50 kilograms. That's when you're going to feel it more and you won't start sliding. So I'll give you a little insight now of what it's going to look like. I'll put a bit of weight on there and I'll start pushing myself back, and you'll start to see the point where the bar is holding me in place. So just like to warm up, just using the bar itself. Like I say, you want to be getting those legs in getting the feet in as close as you can to the body, taking the bar up, and then if you start pushing back, you're going to notice that I start sliding backwards. And that's, like I say, simply because the bar is not heavy enough to pin me down in towards the bench. Now, a common thing that I'll see people do as well is when they start benching, they start like lifting their legs up. I used to be an absolute advocate of this, whereas I would start benching, as soon as it started getting heavy, my legs would be dancing all over the place, and that's really not where you're getting your power from. I found that once you get yourself firmly planted in, and you are lifting that weight and pushing yourself back at the same time, you will notice that you're a lot sturdier to start with, and you will notice that you're starting to lift a little bit more weight. Like I said before, do not do this. Now what is helping me today is the fact that I've got a vest on. If you had just simply a top, you will notice that you're going to start sliding a little bit more. But the fact that the skin is on the bench does definitely help. So now we're about to do this with 60 kilograms. Once again, making sure the shoulders are pinned back into that bench, kind of clasping that bench in between your traps, and that should be good. Arching that back a little bit and making sure you're driving in towards the back of that wall. And then push back. So you want to bring it down into underneath your sternum basically. So you don't want to be going too high or close to your chin. You don't want to be going too low in towards your stomach. You want to bring it back just towards kind of the bottom of your chest. And like I say, when you are coming back down, on the way up, driving in towards the back of that wall. And you will notice instantly a big change. Anyway guys, I hope those few tips helped. Realistically they should. Obviously I know in terms of benching and dumbbells, with the gyms not open at the minute, it can kind of be a tricky one. But if you do have access to a bench and some weight, then definitely try use some leg drive whilst doing some dumbbells as well. The same principle applies. But yeah, hope the hell guys. See you in the next video.
Nowadays nothing really excites me. Only one of me and nobody's like me. Phone ringing and I tell him it's I got wifey on bling and she freeze. Photo please.